What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, getting down with Fresh Out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the channel. Go to freshoutseries.com, pick you up some merch, grab some soap and wash your ass. I'm here with my friend Rick Duchovny. Man, you know, we've had people here that have done time, some people haven't done time, and we try to have a balance now to kind of expand our horizon. And with Rick, man, he has a hell of a story. So I wanted to get him on the channel to show a different perspective, because a lot of times you guys hear stuff from me and you might be like, but then you hear from somebody else and it resonates differently. So Rick, you know, we've talked about a lot of things off camera. And one of the things I want you to kind of talk about is, you know, raising 4 sons, being a father, and you know, some of the things you see right now as far as in the media narrative, and how should other fathers out there, parents, deal with, you know, just being an influence on their kid, a positive influence.
Well, Big Herc, I have done time in corporate for quite a while, so
Okay.
I kind of know how you feel. And I did have my share of getting in trouble growing up. And I was raised by a very tough father, man. So we're from the Soviet Union, political refugees. You know, he gave us major whoopings. And I've also spent a lot of my time trying to become like a more emotionally intelligent dad. Mm-hmm. But I do, and I focus on that a lot, but I do appreciate having been toughened up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have 4 boys, 3 teenagers. We're very close. I'm very vulnerable with them and open about my faults, working on my patience, trying to be more focusing on the things I can control, not getting into fights like I did growing up, a lot of fights. But my kids are tough. And one thing like I've heard them talk about is how the majority of their friends and people they know are anxious, depressed. I don't necessarily see it on a day-to-day, but it's like this new generation. And I'm not trying to.
You think the young men today are dealing with a lot more as far as this like depressed emotions than we were as kids growing up?
I think it's a mental toughness. I really do. And I'm not trying to put my kids on a pedestal, but like I spent a lot of time talking to my kids, as they know, like on car trips, about being mentally tough. Like, for example, when they start complaining about shit on the trip, I'm not going to cater to you, and I'm not going to reward anything other than effort, right? It's boring. When are we going to get there? Let's stop right there. There's about 1,000 things you can do right now. Like what? Well, you could look outside. We could play 20 questions. We could stop right now. You can go hunting, looking for rocks. There's 1,000 things to do. And I would just cut them off whenever they started going down those paths that are like not helping themselves. Like, is this helping you? By acting bored, by complaining, instead of finding opportunities in everything, right? How they dealt with bullies at school, man. Like, I let my kids express themselves to each other, and like we had a healthy kind of trash talking repertoire amongst each other. I have a 20-year-old special needs son. He has Down syndrome. He's tough as fuck, dude. Like, I'm not worried about him. I can't protect him all the time from people talking shit. He's used to his brothers talking shit to him. They all treat each other equally. It's obviously with love at the end of the day, but life is hard. Like, you can't just focus on being nice and polite all the time. That's fine, but you got to be able to be assertive and stand up for yourself. You know?
Do you think a lot of young men today, they just don't want to work at being men? Like they don't want to put the effort forth to even try to figure out why there are certain things that they need to do as young men? I mean, like, you know, I was talking with somebody earlier, and we were talking about like, you know, being first, you know, educating yourself as far as, you know, intelligence is one of the foundations, and then also maybe, you know, having some sense of physical assertion. You know, a man doesn't necessarily have to kill, but be capable of protecting. You know, you don't want to be somebody who can just come and violate your family and you're defenseless. So, you know, having some sense of self-defense or some type of sense of protection, and then also having the compassion. And I think, you know, a lot of you know, this whole balance has been stripped purposely to create these young men, really weak, lost, disenfranchised young men today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's a really tough time to like grow up. My kids are aware of it too. And I'm not saying I've done a perfect job, because like I grew up in harder times because we were immigrants. And you know, they say like hard times breed tough people, and soft.
That's right.
Easy times breed soft people. It is kind of true. Like my kids, no offense, they're softer than me. I'm like, kids, I grew up like an animal.
Yeah.
Like compared to how you guys, like, you know, taking you to practice. Nobody took me to practice. You talk about practice?
Yeah.
Nobody took, I would roll my bike. I went everywhere. I was outside all day. They can't have that experience. So I have kind of adjusted to them, but definitely sports, definitely being able to get physical, learning a craft, like find something they love to do so they can learn that they can put effort and get better at something. Like a lot of kids never find that. They never do physical activity. They don't know how to defend themselves. I feel like there's all these like life is like, it's a very complex game. You can't just have one of your like, you know, on the equalizer level. You can't have just one thing balanced. Like you just have money, or you're very kind and generous. That's great. What about if you're in a dark alley with your family? You got to be able to defend yourself.
That's right.
And that is life, man. We've all been there.
Now, what about like, you know, taking a more prominent role in your kids' education, or just their social awareness? Because literally most people or parents don't understand that your kid is away from the house or the home majority of the day. You know, when you come home, you know, maybe you have a brief communication with your kids on the phone, you cook dinner, you know, maybe go in there and say what's up to your kid, but the home influence is so small compared to the world influence now because of just access and what you hear. Where, you know, when I grew up, you'd come home, you'd have family dinner, you'd have to bring your homework in, you do your homework at the table. You wasn't even doing it in a room, you do it at the table. Having stuff all over the table, you get help with your homework assignment. You know, there was a lot more interaction, and then on the weekends you either did maybe a family trip on Saturday or something, or Sunday, and then you came home, and then we had family time in the evening. So there was a lot more, I guess, family unity and communication. Where now, you know, I don't have any children, but I see a lot of kids there in the room for, you know, 10 hours a day playing a video game, just, you know, online, virtual with somebody else, and it's just they're not socially active, or there's not the communication with the parent. How do you deal with, you know, something like that?
Man, it's a great question. It's like the question. Like you got to put in time, man. It's like they're your little employees, right? They need training. Like you can't just hire people and just set them off. Like you got to trust them whenever you can. Once they earn your trust, you go, oh wow, you're making great decisions. Good. But you got to spend time. Like for me, being a dad is probably like my number one thing. Like that's kind of the mindset I have with everybody I work with. Like I'm trying to help everybody become the best version of themselves, right? So I spent a lot of time with my kids. Like I tried every opportunity I could get. Like if I could coach their team, even if that wasn't my sport, I'm trying to be there. Or I'm going to the games. Dinner, no cell phones. And by the way, my teens, and they're socially very like, you know, like balanced, man. Like they know what's up, right? They're cool, but they go, you know what? I'm definitely going to keep that with my kids, like with their kids. No phones at the table. Even to this day, because there's just that one time to anchor yourself together. Like how's it going? What's going on? And really, I would always use logic with them in anything I asked them to do. I'm like, hey, communication is like very helpful to you. Like if you continue being good at communicating, socializing with people by putting your phone away, being present in the moment, instead of like thinking that whatever that portal's taking you to is more important than the fucking amazing 3-dimensional sights, sounds, smells, like reality we're in. Like it can't always be better to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
When are you gonna be here? And I always just press that upon them. And we take a lot of road trips, vacations once a year, even when we didn't have any money. Like I lived a life where we didn't take vacations because there was never money. And then I decided, you know, like when they were really young, like I'm gonna make sure it's something. It's to spend time. It's not for the vacation, it's to spend time. They need that anchoring. They need to like, you know, understand what's their vision, you know, anchor themselves in something. Make sure they're heading in the right direction. And feel like you care too. It's very important that you're investing in your kids.
I think that is key because I always say that, you know, just because you raised a child and they're able to graduate school, they can wipe their ass, they can, you know, talk and whatever.
Wash their ass.
You know, and wash their ass, that
Very
they're
important.
that you did your job, but what did you give them? What life skills, what did you prepare them for as far as going out into the world? Rejection, dealing with adversity. You're not going to always win. You're not going to get your way. Sometimes people might not like you. They might not agree with you. You know, sometimes you have to bite your tongue. There's a lot of things, you know, respecting other people. There's a lot of things that, you know, parents don't really prepare their kids for because they've, you know, given these kids a sense of you're just entitled. And the world doesn't work like that.
Right.
Maybe here in America, a lot of people think, oh, like, but you go anywhere else, you get eaten alive. You will not make it, and you will be depressed. You have all these other issues, and if you don't get the reality from home, the world's going to teach it to you. You
Right.
know, so I think that's like a key thing when I say, you know, and I did a video about this on another platform, and you know, people, you know, like a guy was saying, yeah, you heard my dad was there, but he didn't really give me anything. You know, he raised me, but as far as just the communication, the conversations, you know, breaking things down to me, and you know, preparing me to go out here and win. Just raising a child is not winning. You know, winning is instilling the confidence in your child to be successful, but also helping them realize or reach their full potential, whatever that potential may be.
Right.
You know, and supporting them, but also letting them know that there's going to be challenges in life. Not everything's going to go your way. You know.
Well, there's so many areas you need to be good. Like think about us growing up. Like now, I'm 49 now. Like the things I understand now, and just how to communicate with people, like you said, how to manage my life, how to build relationships, how to build businesses, how to do the job properly. Like those are things that, you know, took me decades and decades to learn. So if you're not going to spend time with your kid, like explaining those things, mental toughness, how to handle adversity, like you said, like they're just going to be behind the 8 ball, and like life's not going to hand it to you.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have to be ready to take it. I also like always pushed my kids like comfort zone, like let's play sports, do the talent show. I made them do the talent show every year. They like one of my kids the first year, he was so scared to do the talent show. When we got there, he was like, I don't want to do it. He started crying, and I said, well, are you crying because you really hate the idea of doing it, or are you crying because you're scared? He goes, because I'm scared. I said, you got to do it. It's not because you're going to be the next, you know, singing sensation. I just don't want you to be scared to do the things you want to do. He did the talent show. Luckily, the girl right before him was like terrible. And they're clapping for him. I'm like, see? You got this, man. He's like, okay. He goes up there. He did a Michael Jackson. He did Michael Jackson Beat It, lip sync. You know, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter what it was. And he ended up doing it. They did, practice every week, and then he performed. And I mean, he did it every year after that. But it was just for confidence building. Like I just didn't always like pushing my kids to talk to people. Go talk. You like somebody? You think somebody is cute? Go talk to them. It's not about hooking up. It's about being able to assert yourself in life. If you're not gonna be able to go after the things you want, it's gonna be a very tough life. You're gonna let life basically dictate where you go. So I really spent a lot of times helping my kids understand who they are too. What's their passion? Honestly, that's one of the problems. You're gonna let school do it. They don't do a very good job of helping your child understand who they are. Like, what are they really passionate about, talented in, and purposeful in?
That's right.
And if you are 18, which most kids at 18, by the way, graduate high school, 95% don't know who they are. Did you know that? Like, there was a survey done. Like, they're like, that's not something we ever talk about.
Well, you don't.
Like, what are you good at? Are you a great mechanic? And kids are shamed into going into certain professions and not in others. Not because that's where their passion and talent is, but that's what.
Well, they do what they think people is expected of them. Like, going to college, and maybe for this kid, maybe college wasn't the thing. Maybe she took a trade.
That's what
maybe
I'm
that
saying.
kid. You know what I mean? So we
that's part of the problem. All
Yeah.
these kids, like if you're going to be an absentee parent, the school system and the environment usually your kids are in is not super positive where it's going to help them really figure themselves out. So then they go to college like I did and really blindly picked a major, which I happened to do well, but it was hell, bro. Like being in a career, I'm a CPA. I got an accounting degree. I was sitting there in cubicles, man, pushing through like never give up. My dad, thank you for making me tough like that. But, later in life, I started branching out. Okay, what do I really like? I really like coaching people. Okay, but I could have found that out. When I was in college, I knew that. I love psychology.
So, what year did you really feel that you kind of came into your own? Because I know it wasn't until like my early, like 24, 25 where I met a mentor, and I kind of felt like I had found more of a purpose in myself. And you're 18, you don't really know shit. I mean, I didn't know shit. I mean,
Right.
18, I don't know who created that number as far as you should be able to handle all the responsibilities.
No.
But you really don't know shit, man.
Oh, man. That was a big, this is very important to say, that it turns out you really don't hit your stride till you're well into your 40s and 50s.
You're right.
This is in all the books, man.
No, you're
this
right.
Is in,
most people, if they're a millionaire,
Hill's
they
book.
don't become a millionaire until 57, 58, 60.
Just because you see a few successful, monetarily successful at 25, they still aren't at their peak figuring out what are they really good. They just happen to be maybe geniuses in a field, right? But to really understand your purpose, talent, and passion, that's something you got to work toward. But if you can have at least an understanding that it's worth figuring it out when you're young, because most kids don't, man. I talk to my kids' friends, most of them have no idea, and they're just like, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor. Why? Money. I'm gonna be a lawyer. Why? Money. I'm like, you're not gonna be very good at it if that's what you're aiming for. Take money out of the equation and then put the money back in.
That's right.
Do something you love and then go, all right, how do I make $1 billion out of it?
Well, it's funny you say that because I just turned 50, but I think back sometimes, I'm like, damn, you ever flash back to when you were doing something when you were 21, 22, it's like, damn, what if I would have did it like this? And you're thinking, man, I wish I would have had the game I got now. Or
Right.
I remember when I met that girl and I did this. Or I remember when I bought that car, I did this. Or I did this. And you're like thinking all this stuff. So it's like in retrospect, when you, having somebody, I don't like to use the word older or elder, but having that more experienced influence, it can dramatically help a young person. That's why a lot of those villages and a lot of those other places, they have the grandparents in the house. Africa, Russia, Europe, they have 2 generations. So your mom and dad might have something, but your grandpa, he's sitting there, he's been through some shit.
That's right.
Yeah, and you come sitting there with grandpa, and
Right.
he'll tell you some shit, and you be like, damn.
Right.
My dad didn't tell me this, but because dad didn't want to tell you what grandpa did, So you get that, or your grandmother. I remember I used to hang out with my grandmother a lot. She used to teach me, man, certain things. My mom didn't have this, but my grandmother had something my mom didn't have. So when you don't have that around you, that grandparent or older uncle who's in the war, he's been through this, or Uncle Vinny, whoever it is, you miss out on so much game, man.
So much game. That's partly why I do this and do podcast interviews of people, because I'm trying to help someone like me, younger, that didn't have that wasn't being told to me. But it's like you're a video game player, man. You can't expect yourself to be really good at the beginning. But if you can find someone with 30 years of experience to break it down for you, and they have the right intentions, they're not trying to fuck you over or get you to do something for them, you can get so far ahead of the game, man. Because I became a student of this, let's say in my mid-30s, I became a student of this. I started going, man, let me rethink how I'm doing stuff. My kids, I saw them learning from me, right? I could see my kids much further advanced in the game of life than I was, man. I was so, age, understanding themselves, confidence with their friends, with women even, because I didn't know how to be. I didn't know if I should be macho or
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
because I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, trying to be cool. Like I just didn't know. I was so confused. Looking back,
Yeah.
at the time I was like,
Well, you
I'm
got
good.
if you got you got many versions of yourself that you can kind of see like, okay, wow, and each one is gonna have a different experience.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy because like I don't have any mini me's, but I always like I look at I read a lot of my comments, look at a lot of the comments, and people like, Big Herc, I've been watching since I was 16, and man, some of the stuff, man, you say, and it's crazy like how things resonate from other people with these young people who maybe they have people around them, but it doesn't influence them like that. And that's why I do this,
Yeah.
podcast, is because I want to be able to share different experiences so some of these young people who don't have maybe these individuals around them can get it from the platform,
That's all you need. You have a bunch of mini-me's out there. Somebody that relates to your story in some way. Man and female, by the way, not just men. Although, like, I have 4 boys, so I feel like that's kind of where my expertise is. I wouldn't even know what to do with a girl, but I talk to women all the time. I just want to help people, like, figure it out because I know how important and powerful it is. Like, you could have life is going to be fucking hard, man. Life is hard, man. That's the bottom line. Don't look for it to be easy, but play hard. If you can have a mindset shift, man. I had a mindset shift over the year. It's practice. It's like hitting the gym. You don't, get in great shape overnight. It takes months and months of dedication. Same with mental toughness, man. That's why it's important, though. You don't have to have a mother, father, or somebody in your family to do it. It's not in your control where you're born.
But that goes back.
But if you can get the idea in your head and go, oh shit, I didn't even think of it that way. It's like you're at a whiteboard, you're solving a math problem. If no one in your family knows how to solve for that shit, it's gonna take you 200 years of calculus to get. But if another person goes, oh shit, I read this in a book, look. Oh, I can do like that? Yes, man. Like everything is solvable.
But
and the answers are out there. Like.
But going back to what you just said, though, and I've heard other people say that if for instance, you want 20-inch arms or you want a 6-pack, if it was just one day in the gym and you had that, you wouldn't respect it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the effort is consistency, it's redundancy, it's discipline. There's a lot of things that come into play there. And because like most people want to just jump in and instantly push a button, I got 1 million likes, I'm the man, and it's like,
and for what?
But you don't understand what it took to get there.
But what are the likes gonna do other than you're gonna put a flag on a mountain peak and you can go, I got 1 million likes, and then after 5 minutes you're gonna be, fuck, now what? Now, are you going to make those types of videos? Is that the type of videos you want to make? If not, then you just got one flag and you're done.
Yeah.
So it's about the journey. Find the journey.
That's
what they always say. It's about the journey, not
that's right.
Because if the destination, the reward of that is great, if that's the motivation for your journey. But once you get the reward, you're kind of like, like Kobe wins a championship. He's like, yes. All right, let's go fucking trade. He's already, let's go win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, let's.
He's not gonna go sit back and go have some ice cream and
because he loves the journey of finding some shit that he loves, like basketball or animated fucking short on him, becoming a basketball player or whatever it is, and making it great. That's what he loved. So if you could find the journey, that's the key. The destination, the goal is just like a motivator.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna make more money if you find something you're willing to be passionate about. Like, you're passionate about this. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you wouldn't stick to it.
That's right. That's right.
And the only way to really make real money I've rarely seen quick money. It's usually like with a lot of fucking roots in the ground, right?
Yeah.
From years of working something up, and then people go, oh, see, they made it overnight. No, they didn't.
No.
It's like a 10-year
and
grind.
that's the thing. You see stuff on YouTube, and people think, or some of these people, and you can say, oh, I make $1 million a month. You're like, come on, me and you both know. You look at that like, come on, dude. I mean, but that's what sells. People want to hear certain things.
Yes.
But like when you actually meet people who have been there or gotten to a point where they're at a certain level of success, you see this guy and you know that it wasn't overnight. It took years, and it's a lot of work and dedication. And just getting up every day. And sometimes, there'll be times you might not want to get up, but you do it anyways.
Yes.
There's times like I feel like I get up to go to the gym and my lower back is like, man, from doing years of deadlifts and squats and stuff. And I'm like, damn, man, but after I move around a little bit, I'm good. I got to go do it. And it's something that keeps me balanced. It's not giving up. And like you said, it's the journey, because at the end of the day, you could look back and be like, hey, look where I'm at right now. And, I want to be somebody. Like, I see older guys and I see so many people and I'm like, how old are you? And I'm like, wow, man, in my age, I want to look like this guy. I seen the guy at the car show, 80 years old, man, driving a Cobra, had and it's a stick. I'm like, this dude's still moving a clutch at 80,
right.
Still getting out and getting up in the morning. That's what I don't want to be one of those people sitting up in the house all blowed out.
Right.
And
you're sticking to it because you have a why behind it. Because you've figured out, oh shit, I feel better when I do that.
Yes.
Like, there's got to be a selfish motivator. Just find that.
Yes.
Like, that's why you got to find what you love, so you can have a selfish motivator to get yourself up to go do it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's how you do it.
Hey, there you have it. Big Herc 916 and Rick the Coveney, fresh out. You tired of smelling like stanky butt, funky armpits? Wash your ass. Go to FreshOutSeries.com and pick you up a bar of soap.